to speak English like a native. Welcome to the Effortless English Show. Today, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Chapter 1. A new book for our book club. So starting a new book for the Effortless English Book Club, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is about getting rich. It's about how do rich people think? How do rich people become rich? Not the ones who are born rich, but people who start poor or they start middle class. How do they become rich? How do they think? What do they do that is different than most other people? That's the topic of this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Let me say welcome to our live viewers on YouTube. Welcome. Just want to say hello to everybody. Hi, everybody that's joining me live on YouTube. We tried this last night, live on YouTube, and my internet connection was terrible, and it broke again. Finally, I just quit because it was too much. It was not working, so we're going to try again tonight. Hopefully, we have a good connection. Hopefully, we get a good live show here. All right, I'll just take just a minute to say hello to everybody who's joining live, and then we will start the book. So your platform looks professional, sort of like a DJ. Thank you. Working on it, trying to improve my equipment. Somalia, Vietnam, lots of people from many different countries. Thank you for joining. Looking good. Learning English and how to make money. I like it, says Paolo. Yes. All right, yeah. Two nice topics, right? Just two good topics. All right. Well, let's start the book. It seems like it's working live, or seems like we're doing well. Let's start the book, Chapter 1. Now, as always, what do? First, I will go through Chapter 1. We're only doing half the chapter today. We're doing Part 1 of Chapter 1. Part A, I'll call it. And then next week, we'll do Part B, the second half, because Chapter 1 is actually quite long. It's very long. So I'll first summarize. I'll go through the chapter. I'll tell you the basic, what happens, what are the ideas. Then I'll go back and I'll discuss my opinion about Chapter 1, my own ideas, my own commentary. And then I'll look at our live comments for questions or comments from our live audience here at the Effortless English Show. So live audience, just relax and listen for a little bit. I'll come back to you live once I finish going through the chapter. Let's start. Let's do it. Chapter 1. It says, Chapter 1, Lesson 1, The Rich Don't Work for Money. Well, that's an interesting title. The rich don't work for money. Well, what do they do? We're going to find out. The rich don't work for money. Let me get this on my screen. You can see it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It looks pretty good. Okay, the rich don't work for money. Interesting. All right, and then it says the very first sentence of Chapter 1, the poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. So this is immediately, we're learning from Robert Kiyosaki, the difference between the rich and the poor, according to him. All right. So then he begins, and really this whole first half of Chapter 1 is his story when he was a child, when he was 9 years old. So he was 9 years old. This is 1956, so quite a while ago. And he says that from the beginning, as a small child, 9 years old, he wanted to make money. He wanted to be rich. Who knows why? He doesn't know why, but he just had this desire from a young age to make money, to be rich. You know, some people have a desire when they're young to play sports. Some people like science or something. For him, it was making money and getting rich. And so he starts telling this story. He asked his dad, how do I make money? How do I get rich, Dad? Help me. Help me, Dad. What do I do? How do I make money? How do I get rich? And his dad said, I don't know. Because his dad was a school teacher. So his dad was not rich. And his dad just said, well, basically you work, get a job and work. That's how you make money. That's how you make money. You get a job, you work, you get a paycheck, and that's how you make money. But I don't know how to become rich because I'm not rich. That's what his dad said. So this is the first dad in the story. It's his real dad. And in this story, he calls his real dad the poor dad. Poor dad. Okay? Really, I'd say middle class dad, but poor dad. Okay? So he says, my dad used to say, if you want something, work for it. Okay? So that's a common idea, right? That's what most people think. Well, if you want to make money, you need to work. Get a job. Okay. Now, he went to school and he had a friend named Mike. His best friend was named Mike. And now at this school, they had kind of normal middle-class kids like Robert. And then they also had some of the rich kids also went to this same school. This is in Hawaii. He grew up in Hawaii. And his friend Mike also wanted to become rich, also wanted to make money. So they're young kids, they're 9 years old, and they start thinking, how can we make money? How can we make money? I don't know. My dad said we need to work. Let's do something. And so they make a plan. They make a plan. How are they going to make money? And their plan is to collect toothpaste tubes. Toothpaste tubes. Toothpaste, that's what you brush your teeth with, right? It's that stuff. And the tube is like a long, round container, right? It's something that's long and round that you can put something in. And even now, today, like in the United States, toothpaste usually comes in a tube, right? But now they make them from plastic. They're plastic tubes. But when Robert Kiyosaki was young, they were made from lead. Lead, the metal lead. Which really is terrible. You think about it because it's poison, but I guess they didn't know. So anyway, they decide to collect old, used toothpaste tubes. Right? So him and his friend, they go around the neighborhood, and they knock on doors, and they ask all the adults, right? They say, oh, will you give us your used toothpaste tubes? And of course, the adults are a little confused. They're not quite sure why, but they're like, oh, well, whatever. You know, they're kind of cute young kids, so the adults do it. They say, oh, okay, fine, yes, sure. So they collect them, they get a lot of these old, used toothpaste tubes. But they have a secret. They will not tell. Their mom says, what are you doing? Why are you collecting all of these toothpaste tubes? And they said, oh, no, it's a secret. We're going to make money. And mom says, oh, okay, whatever, you know. Finally, one day, Robert's dad comes home with some friends. And Robert and Mike, the two boys, they're in the driveway, and they have a fire, like a barbecue. And they have a pot on top of it. And they're melting the tubes, right? They're made of lead. So they've got this big pot, and it's full of lead, liquid lead, melted lead. And then so the dad comes over and what are you doing? Like, what are you guys doing? And the adults are looking like, what are you guys doing? Why are you melting these? And then they're taking and they're pouring them into this. It's called a mold, right? A mold. This is how a lot of things are made in art. Is you have like maybe the mold is wood. It can be kind of like a plastic. You can make it from different things. But basically, they pour it into this little hole. The liquid goes down into the hole, and then it goes into this little. They made something that's shaped like a circle. So basically, they say, "What are you doing?" And they say, "Oh, we're making nickels." So they're trying to make coins, right? Make coins. A nickel in America, that's the name for 5 cents. It's a small coin, and it's 5 cents. It's called nickel. A nickel. That's what we call it. The nickel. Today, 5 cents is not much. It's nothing, basically. But maybe in 1956, a nickel was a little more money, right? So, and they're trying to make a lot of nickels, fake nickels. So they're trying to literally, meaning directly, really make money. And so all the adults start laughing. His dad starts laughing. They all think it's really funny. And the kids are confused. Robert's confused. Mike's confused. Why are they laughing? Why? This is a good idea. We're going to make our own money. And finally, Robert's dad must explain, this is illegal. You can't do it. You can't make fake money. It's called counterfeiting. Counterfeiting, we say in English. Counterfeiting. To counterfeit is a verb. To counterfeit means to make fake money. Now, of course, there are professional counterfeiters. These are people who make fake money. There are really skilled counterfeiters that make money that looks almost exactly the same, right? And some of them, they're criminals and they can make a lot of money. Of course, the kids were not criminals. They didn't know. They had no idea, right? It's kind of cute. So it's kind of cute. His dad laughs. His dad's friends all laugh. And they say, sorry, you can't do that. So the kids are kind of, oh, Robert and Mike, they're upset. Oh, man. That was our great idea. We were just going to make money. It was a perfect idea to get rich. Now what do we do? Oh, and they don't know. They have no idea, right? Robert's dad doesn't know. He just says, get a job. They're too young, really, to get a job, they think. So they go back. They ask Robert's dad again. They say, Dad, how can we get rich? And so this time Robert's dad says, well, actually, you should talk to Mike's dad. You should talk to your friend's dad, because Mike's dad, he's going to become very rich. I think soon he will be very, very, very rich. He will be one of the richest men in Hawaii. And this surprises even Mike is surprised, because he knows that his dad has many different businesses, but his dad doesn't buy a lot of like nice cars or big houses, nothing like that. So Mike didn't realize that his dad was really good at making money. So what do? They go and they talk to Mike's dad. This is the second dad in our story, Mike's dad. So Robert's dad, the writer, author, Robert Kiyosaki, his dad is Poor Dad. And now Mike's dad is dad number 2. He will be Rich Dad in this story. So now we have Poor Dad, and we're going to meet Rich Dad next. So they go to Mike's dad's office. Mike asks, Dad, we want to talk to you. We want to ask you how to become rich, how to make money. And the rich dad, Mike's dad, says, okay, fine. He tells him, come at this exact time, make an appointment. Mike's dad's kind of serious. You'll see he's a little tough. So they go and they have to wait, and they wait, and he's having meetings, and they're waiting, and finally he says, come in. You can come in. So they go in, and Mike's dad, the rich dad, says, okay, so tell me, what do you guys want? And he says, well, we want to get rich, Robert says. We want to get rich. We want to be rich. Show us the money. Okay, so he says, all right, I will teach you, boys, Robert and Mike. He says, I will teach you how to be rich, but number 1, I will not teach you like in school. I will not just tell you, not just lecturing. You will not just sit and listen to me. No. I have a different way to teach you. And the boys say, oh, okay. And then next he says, make a deal with you. Make an offer. And you say yes or no. You only have 2 choices, yes or no. No arguing, no questions. You must say yes, I take it, meaning yes, take it, I want it, or leave it, meaning no, I don't want it. So take it or leave it. This is kind of a demand. This is an idiom, really, a common phrase in English. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. It means Say yes or say no. No questions, no hesitation, no waiting. Yes or no. Take it, meaning yes, or leave it, meaning no. So here's the deal, he says. Here's my offer. I will teach you to be rich, but you must work for me. You must work for me in one of my businesses. If you work for me every week on Saturday, then I will teach you how to be rich. And he says, take it or leave it, yes or no. And Robert, of course, wants to ask a question. Well, can I ask a question? And he says, no, no questions. He says, this is your first lesson. Rich people make decisions. If they see an opportunity, a chance, they make a decision. They don't ask questions. They don't wait. You have to make a strong decision. Take it or leave it. Yes or no, right now. And then Robert says, well, but I have a baseball game Saturday. Right? So and the second excuse Robert has as a boy. And again, Rich Dad says, take it or leave it. No questions, no complaints. Just it's yes or no. And so Robert realizes, okay, I just need to decide. This is a good chance. I really want to make money. I really want to learn about being rich. So he says, yes, I take it. I take it. Yes, I agree. I will work for you and you teach me. And his friend Mike also says yes. Okay. So they both take the deal. What happens first? The first thing that happens is that they go and they just work a really boring job. It's like a laundry, I think. Yeah, like a kind of like a convenience store. It's kind of like a convenience store, and they have to go and help clean it and just, do all the kind of boring jobs. And they go on Saturdays and work for 3 hours. And he hates it. Robert hates it. It's super boring, and he only gets 10 cents per hour. So 30 cents total. And he says, even at that time, even in the 1950s, that was not much money. Of course, now it's nothing. So he really hates it. He hates it. He goes, this is boring. I don't learn anything. Right? I'm not learning anything. I don't understand. The job's boring. I'm not making much money. This stinks. This is no good. So he does it maybe a couple times, and he starts getting angry. He starts getting, I don't like this. I don't like it. I want to quit. I'm going to quit. So he goes, he tells Mike, his friend, he says, Mike, I think I'm going to quit. I think I'm going to tell your dad I quit. I'm not learning. This sucks. This is terrible. I'm not learning anything. I'm not making any money. I don't want to work at this boring job. Yeah. So Mike laughs. Mike says, ha, ha, ha. And Robert's confused. Why are you laughing? He says, oh, well, my dad knew you would say this. My dad said, wait until Robert wants to quit and then tell him to come meet me again. So the dad knew. The dad knew that Robert would hate the job. Okay, this is kind of part of the teaching. This is kind of like Karate Kid teaching, right? He's teaching him with experience. Kind of tricky, a little tricky teaching. So he goes back to talk to the rich dad again, to complain about this job and the bad pay. And he told his poor dad, his real dad, about it. And his poor dad said, oh, that's terrible, 10 cents an hour. You need to ask him for more money, for higher pay, right? So this is the poor dad's thinking. And the poor dad is really like most people, right? Most people think, well, how do I make money? Well, I get a higher salary. I'll ask my boss for more money. That's the key. That's the secret. Ask for more money. So that's what his dad tells him, poor dad. So that's what he's thinking. He's thinking, I'm going to go tell him, you're not paying me enough. And he's going to complain a lot. So he does. He goes and he meets with the rich dad. He meets with rich dad. And he says exactly that. He says, this isn't fair. You're a bad man. You're cheating me. You're paying me only 10 cents. The job is boring. You're not teaching me how to be rich. I want to quit. This is terrible. So the rich dad laughs a little bit and he says, I am teaching you. This is your first lesson. I am teaching you. He says, no, you're not. I don't understand. And, he's just a kid, so he doesn't understand. He's just getting angry. But then I'm going to read a little bit from this because he says, does teaching mean talking or lecture? Right? Rich Dad asks him, does teaching mean that I just tell you directly everything? And Robert, he's just a kid just going to school. He says, well, yeah, that's what they do in school. In school, we sit and they tell us everything. That's teaching. That's how you learn. And Rich Dad says, well, that's not a good way to learn. He says, the best way to learn is from life experience. The best way to learn is through life experience, and then you use your own brain, your thinking, to learn and get better. And that's how I'm trying to teach you, with life experience, not just tell you everything directly. So he says, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. There's something you need to learn from this experience. This job, what happened? Wake up. Use your brain. What can you learn from this? And he says, most people, Rich Dad says, most people never learn. Right? Life pushes them. Something bad happens to them in life, or there's something in life they don't like, and they just complain and they don't do anything. They just keep doing the same thing. He says, if you learn this lesson, if you think and you learn this important lesson I'm trying to teach, then you will grow up and you will become rich and you'll become smarter and wiser and have a happier life. He says, or you can do what everybody else does. He says, for example, I have 150 employees, 150 people work for him, 150 employees. He says, none of them, not one, have ever asked me how to make money or be rich. He says, only you, Robert, only you and my son, you two children, you're the only two people ever to ask me how to make money, how to be rich. He's like, think about that. Only you two. Everybody else, they just want a paycheck. They just say, give me more money. Give, 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 give. Not teach, give. Right? All the employees, they just want to get money from him. They don't ask to learn from him. So he says, so I don't teach them because they can't learn if they're not going to open their mind. So then Robert complains some more. He says, you're cheap. You didn't pay me enough. I'm going to quit. And he said, well, Rich Dad again says, well, this is another lesson, right? That's what most people do. Most people, they think, I don't like my job. I'm not making enough money. So I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to quit and I'll find a better job that pays more money. And the problem is, he says, that does not solve your problem. You're still stuck. You still have the same problem. Maybe you're making a little more money. You change jobs. Maybe you make more money, but you're still not rich. And you're never going to get rich that way. Just changing your job, getting a higher job. This is not the way to get rich. He says most people just always waiting for someone to give them more money or to get a better job. They don't understand how to get rich. He says, the poor, and this is our main point, I'll repeat again, reading it now. The poor and the middle class work for money. So getting a paycheck, working for money, working a job. The rich have money work for them. This means the rich have a way of getting money not from jobs, not just from a job. That's not how people get rich. You don't get rich from a job. That's basically what he's saying. Rich people get rich. Rich people get money in a different way. And then Robert kind of says, well, Robert's poor dad had a good education, right? He was a school teacher, so he had a good education. And so his dad said, you need to study hard, do well in school, get good grades in school, good results in school, and then find a safe, good job. That's the secret to making money. That's what his poor dad said, right? Go to school, do a good job in school, then get a good job with good pay, and that's how you make money. That's what his poor dad said. But this rich dad, the guy who is really rich, says, no, that's not how you do it. That's what most people do, but no, that's not how you do it. So he says, I'm going to teach you how to be rich, but to really learn, he says, to learn, you can't just sit in a class. That's not good. One second. He says, you can't just sit in a class. That's not the best way to learn. The best way to learn is to have energy, to have passion, to have desire, to really, really, really want something. He says, if you really want it, if you're excited about it, even if you're angry, that's good. That emotion. You need that strong emotion to really learn. That's how you become great. That's how you really, truly learn something deeply. Really in life, that's how you get good. That's how you learn, is with emotion. So he says, actually, I'm happy. Rich Dad says, I'm actually happy that you are angry. I'm happy you are angry about the job. I'm happy you hate it because you have emotion now. Now you have a desire. Now you have a strong desire to learn a better way. He says, if you just came and I just told you everything, you really would not learn so much. He says, but now you have this experience, right? You went to the job and you worked at this job and you hate it. So you've got this strong emotion. And now you even more want to learn how to be rich. And now you have this strong emotion where you realize, oh, jobs are terrible. I don't want to work a job. I don't want to work a job with low pay. I don't want to do this ever again. I hate it. Right? So he says that's real education, the passion, the energy, even an emotion like anger. You can use it. You can use excitement. You can use enthusiasm. But even anger can be useful. It can be useful. You can really use it for motivation and true learning. Next, he says another important point. He says, most people, Rich Dad says, most people, if you give them more money, they will not become rich. Most people, if you give them more money, they only will get more debt. Debt means borrowing money, right? Borrowing money. So most people, if they make more money, then they spend more money and they borrow more money. And they never really become rich because of this. So he says, what you have to learn, Robert, is you have to learn how to have money work for you. You don't work for money, meaning go to a job and try to get a paycheck. That's not the way. You have to learn how to make the money do the work for you. And of course, we don't learn how to do that yet in this chapter. We'll learn it later. And, we're almost there. We're almost to the end here of the first half. And he says the next thing is, why? Robert wants to know, well, why don't people learn this? Why do most people continue to do the same thing? Why do most people just get a job? Why are most people like my poor dad, my real dad? And he said it's fear. Mostly it's fear, Rich Dad says. It's fear that keeps most people working at a job. They're afraid that they won't pay their bills, what they owe. They're afraid of being fired. They're afraid of not having enough money. They're afraid of living a very simple, kind of cheap life for a while. And he says, because of this, most people, this is important, most people become a slave to money. Most people are a slave to money. And then he asked Robert, how did you feel? How did you feel working the boring job? And Robert says, I hate it. It's no good. I don't like it. And he says, exactly. He says, and how did you feel getting this low pay? I only paid you 30 cents. How do you feel about that? And he said, I'm really, really angry, really upset. The job was terrible, and then I got no money. Very little money. And then Rich Dad laughs. He says, well, if you were an adult, you would get even less because of taxes, because the government would take some of that money. Robert is surprised to learn this as a child. He doesn't realize about income tax, but so he's really upset. What? Really? The government takes some of your money? And he says, yes, they do. Next, Rich Dad says, learning how to make money, it's a lifetime of study. So it's something you learn all your life. Okay, you're never done, right? You're never finished. You're never perfect. You can always learn more. So it's a process. So you start now, and you'll always be learning more. It's kind of like English, right? Right? You never really finish learning English. While you're alive, you can always improve your English. You can always learn more. That's the same with money. While you're alive, you can always learn more about business, more about making money. It's always possible to learn more. You'll never be perfect. Okay. So he's saying you don't want to be like most people. Most people, they work and they work and they work, and then they just owe more money. So they work, and then they have a lot of debt. They owe money for maybe their house payment or other things, cars, whatever. And they're always stressed out about money, always stressed about money all the time, always worried about money all the time. And they complain about money all the time. And then they quit their job and try to get a new job. But then the new job, they also complain. They don't like it. And they're stressed again about money. This is the life for most people about money. So he says he finally, at the end of our first half here, again, the summary, lesson number 1, the rich don't work for money. The rich don't work for money. This is the key point of chapter 1a. So we're going to stop here. This is the first half of chapter 1. It's a long chapter. I'll do the second half next week. So good. Some interesting ideas. Let's talk about these ideas now, and then I'll go to the live questions. First, let me say that, I read this book myself back when I was also poor. I'd say poor, not middle class. I was poor. And I found this book very useful. And as I was reading it, I was sort of like Robert in the story and thinking, yeah, he's right. I would always use this word wage slave. Wage slave. A wage is a salary. It's income. A wage is like a paycheck, right? It's how much you make, right? Wage from a job. And then the word slave. So I was just like he says in this story. I was always complaining about my jobs. I hated working for people. I hated jobs. From when I was young, my very first job, until I started Effortless English, I hated working. I just hated it, man. I hated jobs. I hated having a schedule that someone else told me that I had to do. I hated having a boss. I just hated everything about it. I felt like a slave, and I called myself a wage slave. I'm a wage slave. I'm just a wage slave, right? A slave to money, a paycheck slave. So it's funny. That's why I maybe one of the reasons I like this book so much, because I felt like, hey, he's describing me. That's how I felt. And he's right. This is what most people do. And like him, for me, for many years, and I say many, I mean like 20 years, okay, I had the same idea. I thought, okay, I just need a better job. If I just change my job, and I can finally find the perfect job, the great job, and then I'll be happy. Then I'll be okay. And it never happened. Some jobs were better. Some of my jobs were okay. I was not miserable, right? But I wasn't happy. So some jobs, it was kind of, so-so. I was like, well, this is okay, but not great. And then other jobs I hated. Sometimes my boss was really not a nice person, and I was terrible. Sometimes the hours, the working time was horrible and stressful. Sometimes the job just was stressful. Sometimes, a lot of times, many times, the job was boring, boring, boring. And so, but just like Robert talks about, I thought, oh, well, maybe the next job will be better. Maybe next time. I just need to find the perfect job. Maybe I just change my career. Eventually, I can find the perfect job. And it never happened. Until I finally realized I had to start my own business. This was the only way for me. All right, so we're seeing, this contrast. So the poor dad in this story, Robert's dad, he's really kind of the symbol, right? The symbol of normal people, most people. He's not really poor. He's a teacher, so, I'd say middle class, really. But his thinking is like most people, right? Poor people, right? If I want to make money, I got to get a job, work for someone else. They will pay me money. And I try to get more money from the job, get a better job, get a better paycheck, and then that's how I'll get rich, or that's how I'll, have more money and be happier and better financial life. And he's right. That is what most people say, right? Like that part in the chapter where he talks about where he says his dad tells him, the secret to making money, the secret to success in life is go to school, get good grades, good test scores, get a good job, and then you'll be fine. That's okay. It's okay. You can do that, but you won't get rich. You will not get rich that way. So he's going to teach us a better way of thinking. In this chapter, the first half, we're really just learning about the first thing he's trying to show us is sort of the wrong ideas, the wrong way of thinking, the normal way of thinking about money and why it's not good. And then later in the book, we'll learn more about how do rich people really think. We're already starting to learn a little bit. Rich people have this idea that money works for them. Money works for them. What does that mean? Well, let's take a basic example of investing, like say someone like Warren Buffett, billionaire. How does money work for him? Well, right, he doesn't have to work every day if he doesn't want to. If he goes on a vacation, if Warren Buffett goes on vacation to an island and he sits on the beach, he's still making money. He's still making money, right? Because his stocks pay dividends. His stocks are giving him an income still. He also has employees. He has a business, so they're working and they're making money for his company. He can sit on a beach for 1 month or even 1 year and still make a lot of money without working at all. So there you go. That's the idea. We'll learn more details about this, but that's the idea of having money. Warren Buffett's money works for him. His money makes money, right? It's the most basic, simple way to think about this is if you had a savings account. Savings accounts in banks don't pay much anymore, but it's still the same. It's the right idea. You put your money in the bank, a savings account, and let's say you make 2%. Well, so now the money is making money with no work. You're not working at all. You're doing nothing. The money's just sitting there and it's making more money. The money is working for you. This is the idea. Now, 2% from a savings account it's not helping you much. You're not going to get rich that way, but you see the idea, right? You're still making that 2% is sort of like free income in a way. You're making money without working. The way middle class and poor people think is if I want to make more money, then I have to go get a job. I have to work more hours. I got to get a better paycheck. And he's saying, no, that's not what you do to get rich. So that is our first chapter, chapter 1. And as I was saying in my own opinion, I agree with him about all of this because, I did this myself. I lived this, okay? So I did exactly that. I was exactly like his poor dad for many, many, many years. And then I kind of changed my mindset, partly because of his book and other reasons too. And now I don't have that financial stress. Now my money works for me, and I'm quite happy financially. So, and I'm hoping you can also learn. That's why we're doing this book, is that all of the Effortless English listeners and fans and members, hopefully you're going to learn some English from this, get some English listening practice, just listening to me now. But also, I do hope that you'll learn some good ideas, and maybe this will help you in your own life. And if you get rich, you can say, "Thank you, AJ, I'm rich now. Send me a donation." Just joking. All right, why don't we go to questions now? We're here live on YouTube. We got people commenting and giving questions. If you have a question or a comment about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Chapter 1, and you're live on YouTube, please tell me and give me your comment or your question, and I'll answer it now. Now's the time. Live, people. All right. Let me go through and review the questions and comments here. Lots of people just saying hello from different countries, asking, "How are you today, AJ?" Thank you. I'm doing well. We've got India in the house, meaning India is here. That's a little slang. In the house. Somebody's in the house means somebody is here joining us. Ukraine in the house. We got Ukraine close to me. Kyoto. Eric in Kyoto. There it is close. I'm in Osaka. Indonesia, India, Korea, Phuket. Nice. Thailand. I love that country. Good intro. Thank you. Thank you, Dustin. Hello from Vietnam, Kazakhstan, ciao from Italy. Thank you very much. Looks like we've got Brazil as usual, Chad, Sudan, we've got Africa, Germany, Europe, Philippines, Pakistan, Morocco. Man, we've got a very international audience. All right. Question number 1 is very simple and direct. How can I buy this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Okay, here's the good news about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is a super famous book. Big, big, big bestseller. International bestseller. It's very famous. So you can buy it online booksellers, all the big ones. The ones I know, Kobo.com is a good one. They're international. Rakuten is Japanese, but they're international also now. Amazon, of course, Amazon.com, and Amazon in many different countries. You can also probably find this book at a local bookstore. It's so famous. It's been translated into many languages, but also the English version is very famous and popular around the world. If you go to a big bookstore in your town or your city, if you ask them this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, probably they have it, or they can order it for you. So it's up to you. You can order online as an ebook, which is cheaper and fast, right? No shipping. Or you could try a local bookstore. But you should be able to find, this is not a hard book to find. This is a very, very, very big, popular book. So this should be an easy one to find. Hi, AJ. Burgers for you. Yummy. Thank you. I read this book. It is amazing, says Tiago. Yeah, I agree. It's a great book. It's a great, great book. It'll really get you to change your thinking about money, hopefully. And lots of people saying, watching from Mars. Not yet, but Elon Musk might get you there soon. Out of This World, AJ, thank you. I really enjoy the way you're discussing books. This makes me see how different you really are from other teachers. Well, that's nice. Thank you. Very kind. Thank you very much. Okay, got just a few comments more about English here. So Ali says, I have been learning English for 8 months. I can't believe I can speak English. I bought a lot of my courses, but the Learn Real English course, the original course, and the Power English course. I listen to every lesson 2 times for 2 weeks. Fantastic. So congratulations. Thanks for sharing your success stories, by the way. Always happy to hear your success stories. That motivates me to keep teaching. Makes me feel good. Okay. How to be a billionaire. I don't know if this is a question or a comment. Billionaire, billionaire. That's. So there's rich and then billionaire. This book cannot teach you how to be a billionaire. I can't teach you how to be a billionaire. That's super rich. If we just look at billionaires, look at people who became billionaires. I mean, there's two ways, basically. The most common ways. Number one is to build a big, super successful company. So Jeff Bezos built Amazon. Bill Gates built Microsoft, right? You get the idea, right? So building a big company. That's not easy. That's hard. Those companies have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of employees. It takes a special person to do that. The other way would be to be a super investor, a really, really, really good investor. So Warren Buffett would be kind of the most famous example of that. But here's the truth. You don't need to be a billionaire to be rich. What is rich anyway? What does that mean? I mean, we all maybe have different ideas of rich. Some people think billionaire, but not me. I don't think billionaire rich. I mean, billionaire is certainly rich, but you don't need anything like that to be rich. My idea of rich is that you are free. For me, rich is about being free. It's about freedom to live life as you want. That's what rich means to me. So it means you make your own schedule how you want. You each day you do things that you think are important, most important to you. It means you have enough to take care of yourself and your family, enough money, and to do the things you really love in life. Like I love traveling, so that's one. So I want enough money to be able to travel. So it's really about financial freedom, to not be a wage slave, a paycheck slave, a slave to somebody else telling you what to do. Like I always hated I had to ask permission for a vacation. I have to ask my boss, "Oh, can I please travel for 2 months? I want to go to, Mexico." I felt like I was a child or something. I didn't like it. I really hated that idea. And now I just go. If I want to go somewhere, I just go. I go or I don't go. It's completely my decision. I have total freedom to do that, whatever I want, when I want to. That's what it means to me to be rich. And also, it means for me, it means no stress. Don't get stressed about money. Not always stressed and worried about money. Having enough money that, hey, you're just relaxed about it. So I like the word financial freedom. That's what rich means to me. So you do not need to be a billionaire for that. Maybe a few million for some people. It's really, I focus more on the income, like how much money is coming in to your bank every month, right? But it might be less than you think. Okay, so it's a good thing to think about this, because some people their idea of being rich is too big, and it makes them kind of like depressed, like, oh, I'll never make $1 billion. Probably not. I'm never going to make $1 billion either, but it's not necessary. You don't have to make $1 billion to be free. You can make much less than that and still be free. Here's another quick comment. Become rich with Bitcoin. Well, maybe, possibly. There are many different ways to be rich. Many different, we might call them vehicles. We might call them methods, right? I mean, you can, like I said, you can start a business or you can invest. So Bitcoin, that would be an investment. But it's not guaranteed. And this is something we'll learn later in the book. You got to be careful about this, right? Stocks go up and stocks go down. Bitcoin goes up and Bitcoin goes down. So if it was super easy, everyone would just do it. Okay, so it's a little more complicated than that. You got to really know what you're doing. Okay, so here's another comment from Batul Ali. I just like to say you're giving us food for thought. That's right. And kind of open our eyes. Thanks for your efforts. We appreciate that. Lots of love to you, sir. That's right. And that's what this book club is about, really, in general, is I don't like to tell people what to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you what to think, right? I'm not a guru, nothing like that. But I just like, food for thought. That's a great phrase. It's a kind of an idiom. Food for thought just means something to think about. It's an idea that might be useful to you, might be helpful. But you must decide. I don't know. Everybody has a different life. So I can't say 100%, yes, this is right for you. But it might be. So think about it. This is what I do in my own life. I'll read books from people, from famous people, from successful people. I don't agree 100% with everyone. Of course not. But I do try to find something useful in every book. Even if I mostly disagree with someone, I usually will find some idea, some strategy, some method that is still useful to me, that can help me in my life, in my business, in my health, and something. And so this is how you need to think, not just 100% all or nothing, right? So maybe some parts of Rich Dad Poor Dad you don't like. Maybe you don't agree with everything. So that's okay, but there still might be some good ideas in there. There might be some things that can change your life. You can change your life from just one new good idea. You only need one to totally change your life, your results in life. So just be open. Just open your mind and consider. Just say, well, could this be useful? Could this be correct? Maybe you decide yes, maybe you decide no, but just it's food for thought, right? Something to think about, for your brain to eat and think about. Ajhoge, where are you from? Whoops, wrong one. Ajhoge from, the username is anime. Where are you from? I am from the United States originally. I guess you're asking me where am I? Like where did I grow up? Where was I born? United States. I'm American. I am from the state of Georgia originally. That's in the southeast. The big city in Georgia is Atlanta. I went to high school in the Atlanta area. My university is the University of Georgia, was the University of Georgia. So, American. However, I now live in Japan. Okay, how can we change, as you say? This is a good question. So Robert Kiyosaki is teaching us some different ways of thinking. Sorry, we got an ambulance in the background. This is the problem with live recording, is there's some noise sometimes. I do not have a soundproof studio. Sorry. All right. So the first step of changing with money, with anything, is just to, as I said, just to be open. Just open your mind and think about the ideas. Take some time. We have probably 10 weeks to learn this whole book, right? I think there are 9 chapters, but this chapter we need 2 weeks. I don't know. The other chapters also might be long. We might need 10, 15 weeks to finish this whole book. So that gives you a lot of time to think about the ideas and just let them get into your brain for a while. That's the first part of changing in anything in your life, is to change how you think. It all starts in the brain. It all starts with thinking, how you think, your beliefs. Change your beliefs, you'll change your life. All right, still looking at the comments and questions live here on YouTube. People are still introducing I'm a Brazilian living in Ireland. Oh, boy, terrible weather in Ireland. You must miss Brazil, huh? All right, lots of people just saying hello to each other. All right. So we got any more questions about the da, 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 da. Okay, this just makes it a comment more from Salim says, don't work for money, let the money work for you. Interesting. Yeah, this is really the first belief. I mean, this is very important first idea in this book. Very, very, very important. You need to, if you want to learn from this book, if you want to learn something about money, this is the very first idea. He mentions it several times. Why does he repeat this again and again in chapter 1? Because it's important, okay? He's repeating this phrase, this sentence, don't work for money, let money work for you. Rich people don't work for money. They have money work for them. He's repeating it several times because this is the central idea, the main idea of chapter 1. And he wants you to remember it. He wants you to think about it because this is the main, big, important idea of the chapter. And it's important because most people, he's right. Most people think if we walked out just on the street and we asked 100 people, if you want more money, how would you get more money? Most of them would say they would work more, or get a raise, or work more hours, or get an extra job, get a part. Almost everybody would answer something about working more, or getting a better job, or something like that. All right. Well, I think that's enough for today's show. The end of chapter 1. The end of our book club. I hope you enjoyed it. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, chapter 1. Next week, we'll finish chapter 1. So we'll do part B, chapter 1, part B next week. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, join my VIP program. Learn English with me. Join my VIP program or one of my other courses at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com. See you next time. Bye for now.